The ratings are in for the final edition ever of AEW Rampage on TNT. A bizarre Bryan Danielson and AEW lawsuit has been dismissed. An update on the WWE Tribute to the Troops special after no special took place in 2024. Ric Flair comments on if he has one more match left in him. New Japan Pro Wrestling's contract with Access TV expires. AJ Francis gives an update on why he decided to re-sign with TNA Wrestling. Details on why we are getting the AEW Dynamite and AEW Collision Maximum Carnage episodes. Samantha Irvin reportedly was backstage last night at AEW Dynamite Fight for the Fallen. Plus, we have the ratings for the final Raw on USA Network as well as the final SmackDown of 2024. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's begin with the ratings for the final ever episode of AEW Rampage on TNT. Now, the Friday, December 27 edition of AEW Rampage, the last ever episode of the show, averaged 273,000 viewers. That's up over 20% from the previous week and is the second highest audience total the show has done since September 27. Rampage finished 6th on the primetime cable charts with a 0.08 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic, which is up 25% from last week. That ties the second best rating the show has done in that category since October 25. The show faced competition from two college football bowl games, with the Liberty Bowl on ESPN topping the cable charts and all of television, with 4.2 million viewers overall and a 0.95 rating in the 18 to 49 demo. As compared to the same week in 2023, Rampage's overall viewership was down over 16%, while its 18 to 49 rating was down over 27%. Now, certainly a strange story, this one, when it comes to a lawsuit filed against AEW and Bryan Danielson. Now, a lawsuit filed against AEW and Bryan Danielson over supposed trademark issues has been dismissed less than 2 weeks after it was filed. On December 13, Leyland Owens, who has a long history of filing seemingly frivolous lawsuits against WWE and UFC, launched a legal claim against AEW and Bryan Danielson in the United States District Court of Eastern District of Washington. However, the court documents list the defendants as All Elite Wrestling and Daniel Bryanson. Owens claimed the theft of his ideas and alleged, quote, intellectual property infringement over ideas he allegedly shared with former AEW World Champion Bryan Danielson. AEW trademarked the term Shockwave with the belief that it was for a new show to potentially air in the future, but Owens claims he came up with the name and also linked that name with an undefined Engage pay-per-view or PLE without making a clear distinction what the connection was. Owens cited emotional stress in his complaint and demanded a reasonable offer or full rights to his supposed ideas, but it doesn't look like he'll be getting either. The court dismissed this case on December 26 as it judged Owens had failed to establish federal jurisdiction. However, it was dismissed without prejudice, meaning he can revisit the issue in the future. At the same time as the case was dismissed, another lawsuit filed by Leyland Owens against the US government was also thrown out. Owens had claimed he had provided TV and film ideas as well as inventions to the government and received no compensation. Bryan Danielson, Mercedes Moné, Vince McMahon, and President-elect Donald Trump were all named in that filing. Now, a bit of an update here when it comes to the Tribute to the Troops special. Back in December, it was reported that WWE Tribute to the Troops had been shelved, not only for 2024, but possibly forever. The report noted that the company had quietly left the TV special behind as it was very much a Vince McMahon thing, and many policies and ideas associated with the former chairman had already been dropped. The event, of course, was founded in 2003, with its creation credited to WWE Hall of Famer JBL, who pitched the idea to McMahon. However, that doesn't mean fans have seen the last of the special. During a recent Backstage Pass Q&A, WrestleVotes reported that the special could yet return. However, if it does, it will likely have more in common with earlier editions rather than simply being an extension of Raw or SmackDown. Quote, yeah, I tried to ask around about what happened to Tribute to the Troops. I did have a source say that it was likely they want to get back to the roots of it. I don't know if that means going overseas and stuff, but I think they wanted to get back into maybe the bases here in America and things like that, and they just didn't have the organization to do that this time around. So I wouldn't be surprised if it came back next year in more of a traditional military base type of environment that they were used to before they changed it to the standard arena show. Of course, on January 6th, WWE begins its new era when Monday Night Raw finally premieres on Netflix. Now, Ric Flair, could he have one more last match, final match, last match, whatever you want to call it? Well, Ric Flair wrestled his advertised last match in July 2022, teaming with Andrade to defeat Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. Flair passed out twice in the match due to dehydration. He has since appeared on AEW television, and though he got physical in Sting's last match at AEW Revolution, he has not competed in an official capacity. Quote, "Once Tony Khan found out I was on blood thinners, he wouldn't let me get in the ring," Flair said on the 5-Star podcast. When it was said that Flair has one more match left in him, Flair chimed, quote, "Hell yeah, I do." Now, Flair has not appeared on AEW television since AEW Revolution 2023. It's unknown if or when he will ever return to AEW TV. Speaking of TV, New Japan Pro Wrestling's TV deal with Access TV reportedly is done. New Japan Pro Wrestling will no longer air on Access TV following the expiry of their television deal at the end of 2024. A representative told Post Wrestling, quote, "We will not be airing New Japan Pro Wrestling for the foreseeable future. Our agreement expired at the end of 2024, and we do not comment on the state of current or future agreements." New Japan and Access TV first began working together in 2014. The partnership initially ended in 2019 after Access TV was purchased by Anthem, the parent company of TNA Wrestling. New Japan Pro Wrestling programming returned to Access TV in 2022 after TNA and New Japan began working together, although the two promotions have not exchanged talents for some time. New Japan Pro Wrestling shows continue to be available on New Japan World for $9.99 a month. The promotion's biggest show of the year, Wrestle Kingdom 19, is just a couple of days away and will air from the Tokyo Dome on January 4th. Now, AJ Francis, speaking of TNA Wrestling, has re-signed with the company on December 31st. Sports Illustrated put out a report announcing that AJ Francis had re-signed with TNA Wrestling. This news was met with praise by many TNA fans, as Francis had established himself as one of the promotion's top heels in recent months. While chatting with the Nick Beasley Show for a new interview, Francis talked about re-signing with TNA, saying it was always his goal to return to the company. He said, quote, "I like it here. The goal was to always re-sign with TNA. We just had to come to terms. I always wanted to come back. I went from 1 year, nobody thinking I'll ever wrestle anymore, to 1 year later, main event world title contender, matches with the Hardys, main event of a PLE. TNA gave me everything I could ask for. So why would I not want to come back? Like, yeah, I would like to work at NXT still because they have the connection." Francis continued on and said that WWE knows where he's at if they want him to appear in NXT. He said, quote, "I don't know nothing about the deal. I just know that if they want to make it happen, they know where I'm at. It's that easy." Then Francis continued to explain his choice to re-sign with the company, saying that TNA is giving him the opportunity to be a main event player. He said, quote, "I'm being put in a spot and I'm being utilized and I'm being shown how good that I can be because TNA is giving me that opportunity. It's tempting to go to a lot of places. There's a lot of places that wrestling, depending on what you're trying to do, like who wouldn't want to go to WWE right now? They're about to be on Netflix. Right now, I'm showing at TNA that I'm a main eventer. I know if I went back to WWE right now, if I went to Raw or SmackDown right now, I'm not going to be in the main event." Now, of course, coming up soon is the AEW Maximum Carnage shows for both Dynamite and Collision. Following Fight for the Fallen on January 1st, All Elite Wrestling have more special editions of their televised programming on the horizon. It was announced in December that AEW will present a Maximum Carnage edition of Dynamite from the Andrew J. Brady Music Center in Cincinnati, Ohio on Wednesday, January 15th. A Maximum Carnage episode of Collision from the same venue will follow on Thursday, January 16th before the show airs on Saturday, January 18th. According to Fightful Select, the AEW episodes of Dynamite and Collision from Cincinnati had an additional emphasis put on them following a request from Warner Bros. Discovery. AEW and WBD have been partnered since 2019, and the new TV deal, worth $555 million over 3 years, took effect from the new year. Already announced for Dynamite Maximum Carnage is Hook vs. Christian Cage and Jon Moxley's latest defense of the AEW World Championship. Moxley's opponent will be determined in a casino gauntlet match on next week's Dynamite. Maximum Carnage is primarily associated with the Spider-Man crossover event of the same name from the summer of 1993. The event saw Spider-Man, Venom, and more try and stop a killing spree across New York City by Carnage and his team of supervillains. Now, speaking of Fight for the Fallen, a familiar name was Backstage. All Elite Wrestling aired the special Fight for the Fallen edition of Dynamite from Asheville, North Carolina on January 1st, and a former WWE name was backstage at the event. According to Mike Johnson of PW Insider, former WWE ring announcer Samantha Irvin was backstage at the show. Irvin is the fiancée of AEW's Ricochet, who was involved in an angle on Dynamite, which saw him stab Swerve Strickland with a pair of scissors. Ricochet then took out Strickland with a spirit gun, while Strickland was on a steel chair. Samantha Irvin had been the ring announcer with WWE from 2021 until October 2024, when she resigned from the company. Irvin was vocal on social media following her exit, noting that she never liked announcing and she wanted to use the position to reach bigger goals in the organization. Irvin's tweets following her exit reportedly upset some in WWE. In addition to Irvin, Beth Phoenix was backstage at AEW Dynamite Fight for the Fallen. Phoenix resides in Asheville with husband Adam Copeland. The former Edge underwent a name change on Dynamite, switching from his real name of Adam Copeland to just Cope. Now, Monday's episode of Raw was the final episode on the USA Network, and the final episode of WWE Raw on USA Network did its second best numbers of football season on Monday, averaging 1.60 million viewers and drawing a 0.53 in the 18 to 49 demographic. It was second only to the December 2nd show, and this was more impressive given the NFL competition with the San Francisco 49ers versus Detroit Lions game doing 22.12 million viewers and a 5.17 in the 18 to 49 demographic. This was on ABC and ESPN. The total NFL audience was one of the 5 best games since 2006. The rating was a combination of the WWE product itself being very strong, and clearly the last episode got a lot of early curiosity based on the strong first hour. Raw beat everything on television but NFL-related shows on the 2 stations and was 5th on cable for the night behind the NFL-related shows. The show was up 10% in viewers and 26% in the 18 to 49 from last week against far stronger competition. From 1 year ago, Raw was down 9% in viewers and down 11% in the 18 to 49. Of course, last year's episode featured Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and while not advertised ahead of time, word got out late and led to giant numbers, even though last year's show was on January 1st, meaning it went against the Rose Bowl and later the Sugar Bowl games. But factoring the drop in homes and getting USA, even those drops are just barely above the level of the drop in homes for both this year and last year, had extremely strong football competition. Last year was also on a worse night overall, but numbers of shows with Dwayne Johnson are in a different league. Besides Raw, no entertainment show on cable topped a 0.15 of 90 Day Fiancé, so Raw well over tripled the highest non-NFL number. And finally, the ratings are in for the final episode of SmackDown of 2024. Friday night's WWE SmackDown averaged 1.436 million viewers on USA Network, which is up over 8% from the previous week. It's the 4th largest audience total for the show since October 11th. SmackDown finished second on the primetime cable charts with a 0.41 rating in the 18 to 49 demo. That's up close to 11% from last week, but is the second lowest rating the show has done in that category since November 29. The show went head-to-head with 2 college football bowl games, including the Liberty Bowl on ESPN, which averaged 4.2 million viewers and topped all of television with a 0.95 rating in the 18-49 demo. As compared to the same week last year, a best of 2023 episode, SmackDown's overall viewership was up 6%, while its 18-49 rating was up a whopping 46%. But there you go, guys, the latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe bottom right-hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right-hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.